Hey there, YouTube. It's hot summer day, July 29th. Got a little project. Realizing I got to keep making videos of my projects here. So I got a small project today. Gonna post it on the channel. I like to go hunting a lot, and it's getting close to hunting season, and I want to make a change to my tub cart. So I'll just show you what we're gonna do. So we go generally pretty far off road. We've been doing this for 6 years. Anyways, last year some new guys came along with us, and they had tandem axle tub carts, the 2 tires, not just one but 2 tires. And I can't believe how good they handle compared to this, my single axle, which I've had now for 10 years. And this tub cart's great, but it bounces so much. Flipped it before. It's crazy how it handles. And those dual axle ones, the tandems, well, they handle just smooth. So what we're gonna do is make some changes. So what I'm gonna do is these are the stub axles right there, and I'm gonna take all the tires, the rims, the hubs all off. And this is all welded in. We'll just grind all the welds off and remove the stubs out. Then I'm going to take in, similar to the way I did on the track machine, we'll take and put a piece of round pipe here. Now on the track machine for the walking beams, I used an actual hub from like this type of hub. But I'm just going to take 2 pieces of round pipe, one that fit inside each other, and then use that to build the walking beam. And then the only other thing we have to do is with the walking beam, you know, one tire is going to move up and down, so we need a little bit more gap here so there's more travel for the tires. I'm thinking about 3 inches more. There's 3 inches now, 3.5, so 6 inches of travel. When one goes down or one goes up, the other goes the other direction. So 6 inches of travel on one side means 6 inches on the other side, which is effectively 12 inches. So I can't see me going over anything bigger than 12 inches. At least towing it, there's just no way, not if it's got gear in it. So should be more than enough. So this is a pretty simple little project. I hope I have it done today. Anyways, I'll disassemble this and show you how it goes. So pulled the axle out really easy. I'm gonna start welding, or sorry, grinding. Gonna grind the hub off right here. Before I begin that though, I'm going to take the hub off because it's got a rubber seal and I don't want the rubber getting damaged. So the heating up of the shaft, not so much grinding, but when I'm welding, will. So it's got to come off anyways. So take that apart and then grind these stubs out. Okay, got the shafts off and looking beautiful. Nice and clean. Little bit of gunk buildup there. I'll take some really fine sandpaper and just polish that a little bit. But no water got in the bearings. Everything's in good condition. Should be just put her back together when I'm done. Well, I got the axles out, but so this one I tried to come in and just grind all the welding off, as you can see here. This one I tried that, and I mean I got it off, but there's a lot of grinding, and I didn't know where the grind ended in the end of this piece, the welding. So, and then of course it was in there so tight I couldn't pull it out, so I ended up having to cut the end of the tube off and pound it out. So then the second one I thought, well, I'll just trim it off close to the edge like this, and then cut it off shorter, and voila, pound it out. So they're out. So now I've got my main axle tube is now in 3 pieces. However, I have the exact same material. I have 1.5 inch square tube with the 1/8 wall, or 100 wall, or whatever it is. I tested this in this end, and I've got the same fitting, same gap. So it's good. I'll just grind this up, clean this all off, and clean these up. They should just slip right back into the other tubing if I want to use it there. So I can cut a new axle with it. So yeah, should be a piece of cake. And I got to keep the same axle size because of course it bolts into the aluminum of the tub cart, so I got to reuse this size of material. So yeah, all right, so now I'm going to might as well show you the round tubing I've got, the pipe that we're going to use for the pivot. So here's the pipe, and this one, oops, sorry. So there's a pipe. This one fits in this one with about a 0.100 gap. So 100 mil gap. So if I use about a 4-inch pivot assembly, it'll have that much play. So 0.100 on 4 inches, and my arms are going to be, I want at least 24-inch gap because the tires are 24 inches. So 24-inch arm or 12-inch arm is 3 times longer than the 4-inch, so it'll have 300 or 0.3-inch gap or travel either direction. So a total of 0.6 inches of travel in the arm when it twists, when the arm twists. So for example, if this is the arm on here, you know, you want it to be, you don't want to have a lot of play, but of course I don't have the ability to machine parts, so I don't have a lathe. So these are pretty close. If I were to go with a longer pivot tube assembly, like let's say 6 inches, then it would only be 2 multiplications, 12 inches this way, 12 inches this way. So it'd be 0.1 inch over 6 inches. Since the arm is 12 inches long, then it would be 0.2 inches up, 0.2 inches down, a total of 0.4 inches of play. And there's a 3-inch gap between the tire and the tub cart. So 0.4 inches is plenty of room. Even an inch of travel wouldn't matter. But the bigger the travel, then more stuff will get in there. Like more wear will happen on the edges of the pipe when they're rubbing right inside here. Whereas longer will be less wear. So I'm going to go 6 inches, I think. So the idea is I'll cut a ring of this about a 1/4 inch, slip it over here, and weld it. That'll be the stopper for this outside tube. Then I'll cut another one about 3/4 of an inch, and it'll go out here, and I'll have a hole drilled, and a bolt goes through that. So this one slips over this one, and then the other ring goes on and bolts it in place, and we'll put a grease nipple on this so that when it's on here we can grease it. Yeah, and then from here I've got 2-inch square tube we'll weld out, and we'll remount these axles on the 2-inch square tube. So that's the plan. Anyways, I'm going to give you a few more updates as we go. Here we got, there's the retaining ring. It's just tack welded on. And this is the inner hub, or walking beam axle. So there it is. It's just tack welded on as well. Tack welded this all in place, these pieces together, so that I could get all the holes drilled and just run a bolt through it. So yeah, anyways, see the outer hub spins there, and then the retainer ring, and that comes off, and this comes off, and your axle. So this is the walking beam. So now next step, of course, is to take and put the 2-inch square tube on this, and once we get the 2-inch square tube on there, I'll add some brackets. Then we got to mount the axles on the end like this. Yeah, give you an idea what it'll look like. Alright, I got that ring welded on, and I got all the pieces apart and they're painting right now, drying. So now I'm going to just do a dry mock-up of the walking beam. So some things to consider: the center of the axles, and the gap between the tires. The gap between the tires will kind of determine how it behaves when it goes over larger logs and stuff like that. I think realistically I won't go over anything that's like bigger than 12 inches without stopping and chainsawing it out of the way, because it'll become a pain in the ass in the future to deal with. So I think what we'll end up doing is I leave a gap of about 2 inches or 3 inches. Then I would think that any log that sits in there that was say 10 inches or 12, if I needed to go over it, it would balance on the tires, right? The tires would be so tight enough together that it would just kind of, the axles would roll over on the tires. So with that in mind, I needed a center to center of about 27 inches. This is 28.5, and this is of course our pivot for our walking beam. It's in the center, so it ends up giving me a distance of edge of center of the rim there to the edge of about 12 3/4, 12.5. That'll give me about 1 inch of clearance between the tire and this piece here, because I need to go along with the pivot arm because of the amount of gap that was in here. I needed to be longer so it'd be less movement, which means then it kind of comes into the area where the tire is, right? The tire is coming out here like this. So now we have to increase this gap. So that was part of the reason why I had to go 27-inch center to center. Okay, slight change in plans. Originally I just thought I could just weld these right on, but they're actually not long enough. So I took some of the original axle material, cut them into 5-inch pieces, and then drove them onto the ends of the shafts. And I've tested it all to fit. So this should give us a 1-inch gap between the aluminum of the tub cart and the 2-inch bar. And then this will just get welded on just like that. Now these shafts end right about there, so what I'll probably do is add in a piece of 1-inch by 1/4 flat bar just out as a gusset here. Yeah, I'll give it lots of strength. So yeah, I'm going to get to welding. I'll weld all these up around the collar, weld them onto this bar. I've got 2 bars, welds there, in the back, then put the 1-inch gusset in, so that there's lots of strength. I'm sure there's strength, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyways. I want it to last forever, or whatever that is. Just finished tack welding together. Well, I did these final welds here on both sides, on all 4. Hot, don't touch. Tacked this to here, squared it, both sides. Tacked this to the tube, squared it, and yeah, I don't know. It looks really good. Looks really good. But you know, the play is not too much. Like, it's not gonna risk hitting anything. But it's a lot more than I thought. And now I'm looking at this, and you can see the inside tube is moving left and right on the actual 1.5-inch axle. So I think I'm going to weld this tube. I'm going to weld it to this. It doesn't need to be removable, at least in the foreseeable future. Yeah, but I think overall it's looking pretty good. Tires should fit, yeah, like so. Once I assemble the hubs, finish this. So I got the axle assembled, welded, and then realized after I welded it all up, I forgot to align the holes for the retaining at the end. Yeah, so anyways, whoops. I took a quick look at it, and this one's really off. This one's really close. This one I can just go with a smaller bolt. It'll work, or re-drill it. This one I'll have to drill all new. Just drill a whole new hole. Anyways, the axle's welded. Now I'm going to get back to putting together the other walking beam and retesting it. Okay, we're ready to do a complete mock-up. I've got both sides welded up completely. Looking good, I think. Good, lots of weld on there. Looking good. Okay. So on the existing tires, I had 2 different sizes because of one was had a puncture. So as you can see, there's lots of clearance. Should be good. Let's go grab this tire and put it on. There we go. There it is. Looking pretty spanky. I think everything looks good, the size, the weight, the position. It's only a 5-foot deep tub cart, so She'll pop along really good. Lots of room to move. As you can see, there's lots of travel between this and the bottom there. So you can imagine, you know, you'd have to be going over a 24-inch log for it, or at least a 16-inch log before they would actually cause that to move that far. So looks good. The other side is the same, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint and reassemble, and I'll give you guys a video once I'm testing it. Here it is, looking good, I think. From the top you can see lots of room, and there's only at the ends maybe 1/4 inch play, so everything's reassembled. The hubs are on, both of them are identical, and looking good. So I'm just going to pack it with grease and put the tires on. All right, it's all put together, greased, ready to go. So the gap here is 2 inches, 1 inch and a bit, and 1 inch. What ended up happening, where the tires were actually built originally, there was already a 4-inch gap, but with the spacing, and I wanted to have space between the 2-inch piece of bar and the tire, you know, I made sure there's 1 inch there. You can see the top one is a narrower tire. I put a hole in the tire, so I replaced it. But you know, there's less gap there. But the tires stick out a little bit past the edge of the tub cart. I'll see if you can see that. Kind of looking down, you see it sticks out. They stuck out a smidge before, so they stick out an extra 1/2 inch now on each side. The outside edge of this post is, the 2 posts, is 48 inches, so a little 1/2 inch extra is not really a big deal. So same thing on this side. As you can see, you might be able to see the tire sticks out a bit. So I'm going to flip it over and get the quad. I'd say that was a success. Looks pretty good. Definitely rides good. A little bit of a twist there to that one. It looks like I got the tube maybe on a little crooked, but it's just a tub cart, won't affect anything. So yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me play in the garage, and see you guys later.